The biker who taught him respect. It was a cold afternoon in Chicago, and the streets were busy with people rushing home after work. Cars honked, buses roared, and the wind carried the smell of rain. Near a crowded bus stop stood an old man named Mr. Harold. He was around 75 years old, thin and slightly bent with age. His gray coat looked worn, and his hands trembled as he held a small grocery bag. Inside that bag were simple things: bread, milk, and medicine. For him, even standing for long periods was painful, but he had no choice. He waited patiently for the bus, hoping to reach home before the weather turned worse. A group of young men stood nearby, laughing loudly. One of them, a tall man named Ryan, noticed the old man struggling to keep his balance. Instead of helping, Ryan smirked. "Oh, look at him," he said to his friends. "Oh, why do old people even come out alone? They just slow everyone down." His friends laughed. Mr. Harold heard every word. He lowered his eyes and stayed silent. Years of life had taught him to ignore insults, but the pain in his heart was harder to ignore than the pain in his knees. Moments later, the bus arrived. People rushed forward, pushing and shoving to get inside. Mr. Harold tried to step forward carefully, but Ryan moved in front of him, blocking his path. "Move faster, Grandpa," Ryan said impatiently. "You're wasting everyone's time." Then, without warning, Ryan bumped into the old man. The grocery bag slipped from Mr. Harold's hands. Bread fell onto the wet pavement. The milk carton rolled into the street. The old man slowly bent down to pick up his things. His hands shook and his breathing grew heavy. But no one helped. People simply watched. Some looked away, and some pretended not to notice. Just as Mr. Harold struggled to stand, a deep rumbling sound echoed down the street. Vroom, vroom, heads turned. A powerful black motorcycle rolled to a stop near the bus stop. The engine growled like thunder. The rider removed his helmet. He was a tall, muscular man in his mid-30s with a thick beard and calm, serious eyes. His black leather jacket carried the marks of long journeys. His name was Jake Turner. Jake looked around and quickly noticed the old man on the ground, trying to gather his groceries. Without hesitation, Jake parked his motorcycle and walked toward him. He knelt down and gently picked up the scattered items. "Sir, are you okay?" Jake asked in a calm voice. Mr. Harold nodded weakly. "Oh, yes, thank you," he whispered. Jake helped him stand and handed him the grocery bag. Then Jake turned his head slowly toward Ryan. The laughter had stopped. The street suddenly felt quiet. Jake stepped closer to the young man. His voice remained calm, but his eyes were firm. "Did you push him?" Jake asked. Ryan shrugged, trying to act confident. "He's old. He should stay home if he can't keep up." For a moment, Jake said nothing. Then he spoke again, slowly and clearly. "One day," Jake said, "you will be old too." Ryan rolled his eyes. Jake continued, "Oh, when that day comes, you will hope someone shows you kindness, not disrespect." The words hit harder than any punch. People around them listened in silence. Jake took a deep breath and pointed gently toward Mr. Harold. "That man has lived longer than you. He has worked harder than you. He has worked harder than you. And he deserves more respect than you're showing right now." Ryan's face turned red. For the first time, he looked ashamed. The crowd watched closely. Finally, Ryan stepped forward. He bent down, picked up the fallen bread from the pavement, and placed it back into the bag. Then he looked at the old man. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. Mr. Harold nodded, surprised but grateful. Jake placed a reassuring hand on the old man's shoulder. "Respect costs nothing," Jake said, "but it means everything." At that moment, the bus driver opened the door again and called out, "Yes, sir, come on in." Jake gently helped Mr. Harold step onto the bus. Before the doors closed, the old man turned back. His eyes were filled with emotion. "Thank you," he said softly. Jake simply nodded. The bus pulled away. The street returned to its normal noise, but something had changed. Ryan stood silently, thinking about what had just happened. Jake walked back to his motorcycle, put on his helmet, and started the engine. Vroom! As he rode away into the evening traffic, one simple lesson remained behind. A lesson everyone had witnessed. Respect is not about age, strength, or status. It is about humanity, and sometimes all it takes is one brave person to remind the world how to treat others.